Okay, everybody, welcome to the 6th day of January 2010. Mark Wilson with your webcam at yournews.com, Parkman and Man page, and this column is all about wrapping up the Lions season with the first person that needs to go in Allen Park to start the house cleaning, start doing something, start doing some stuff. I mean, other teams do it all the time. They get rid of guys that were dead weight. They get rid of players and coaches, and get to that in a bit too. But I'll give you a hint as to who I'm talking about. Martin Mayhew. There's my hint. The Lions general manager, the guy who took over from Matt Millen, he and Tom Lawand are now the brain trust. I'm okay with Lawand staying in place because I don't think his position that was actually as big as Martin's. But Mayhew's been here 9 years. He has not shown a propensity for talent evaluation. Matt hired him 1 month into his regime back in 2001. What have you seen? And that on-field display with Dante Culpepper at Thanksgiving was, yes, a fade-out. Exactly. It was fuzzy, and it was wrong, and it was inexcusable. And those are the kinds of things that you can't have to run an organization. You have to have more clear leadership, and the Lions do not obviously have that. This is also like a little history of how it got here from the start of the Ford ownership back in '64, the complete ownership, when William Clay Ford Sr. took over the team the same day Rob Parker was born. January the 10th, 1964, and it is not the jinx of the Parker. It's the jinx of the Ford, obviously, because they have been, holding the keys. And job one here now has to be to find a guy to finally really take this thing to the next level. Russ Thomas, Chuck Schmidt, Fonce and Ross did their own personnel stuff. Millen and Mayhew. That's it. That's all they've hired. Jerry Vanisi was here. Do you remember him with the Bears? He kind of got the Bears put together for the '85 Super Bowl shuffle team. He was here for like 3.5 minutes, and it was clear that he was way over his head here because he just wasn't stooping to that level. He was too big for the Lions, and they couldn't handle such a thing, so Vanisi didn't stay. He might have done some great work. He's being given credit for drafting Barry Sanders back in 1989. Ron Hughes was a great draft guy here. They haven't had that guy since Hughes left. They need to find some some leadership people, well, ownership too, but that's not going to change. The Fords aren't selling the team, people, but they need to do a better job of hiring people who can talent evaluate. That's it. Schwartz might be your coach for a long time, but he needs better players. And it starts with Martin Mayhew. So I'm physically asking for the removal of Mayhew as the general manager of the Lions. That's all I'm saying. Martin, the guy came here. He was with the XFL. He was a legal counsel. Despite playing, 9 years in the NFL, we saw how that worked out. Matt Millen has 5 Super Bowl rings. How'd that play out for you? So it's not about just playing in the NFL. It's about knowing what you're doing. And I'm sure, Martin, you gave it a whirl. It's no harm done. It's just that you need to go back to doing what you do best and let someone else. I would personally bring in Ron Wolf. Maybe not to be the GM. He's 71 years old, but to consult on who should be here. Or how about Jimmy Johnson? Let's get Jimmy, finally get one of those guys. Cleveland got Holmgren. Parcells in Miami. Anyhow, just read that. I'm not going to give it all away, but it's all about the history of the GM thing through Russ Thomas on down, okay? And why Martin Mayhew should no longer be here. The Bears did their duty yesterday. They kept Lovie Smith, their head coach, but 6 of assistants were told to go bye-bye by Jerry Angelo and Ted Phillips with the Bears. Lovie stays. The assistants get thrown under the bus. Ron Turner, offensive coordinator, gone. Lovie's being told to hire a defensive coordinator. He did his own work there. It will not be Rod Marinelli. Former Lions coach has been told he will not be a candidate for the D.C. job. They'll go outside the organization for that. So, see, the Bears went 7-9, and they obviously already made moves. Mike Shanahan's in Washington after the Redskins had a terrible year. They got rid of Jim Zorn. Shanahan last night agreed to a 5-year deal, so he is now the new head coach of the Redskins in Washington. He'll be introduced today. His son Kyle will come on to be the offensive coordinator, we believe. And Shanahan looks tanned and rested, because he's been out for a year. You can go, what is it, 2 years? Has it been gone 2 years? No, 1 year? I can't tell anymore. It seems like it's been longer. John Gruden, could he be the next coach of the Browns? Mike Holmgren, of course, great move there by Cleveland, getting Holmgren to run the show after, they had a better year than the Lions, even though they lost to the Lions, although it shouldn't have been a loss, but that's another story. But John Gruden worked for Holmgren in Green Bay, and he's having his meeting with Eric Mangini today, the coach of the Browns. Could he be out? We'll see what happens there. David Brandon is your new Michigan athletic director. Everybody knew that was going to happen. The former CEO of Domino's Pizza. They changed the formula so the pizza tastes better, and now Michigan hopefully tastes better with David Brandon. He has already given his, vote of confidence to Rich Rodriguez. to stay on as Michigan football coach, at least for 2010. Brandon's a former player for Bo. They could have done worse here. Don Cannon came here, no one knew him. David Brandon could do some good things here, replacing Bill Martin. Timing is interesting, though, because a lot of people think that if Rodriguez is going to go, it was if Brandon came in now. He starts in March, but basically he's now the Michigan AD as of today. Randy Johnson retires. He's going right to the Hall of Fame in 5 years. The big unit, 22 years, 303 wins, 4,800 strikeouts. I mean, 5 Cy Young Awards, a World Series, an MVP. With that, I mean, there's no question that the unit, who once no-hit the Tigers back in 1990, who retired from baseball last night, will go right to Cooperstown in 5 years. I believe it, in 5 years. And the Hall of Fame voting is today. The ballots will be the voting will be announced from the ballots. I think Alomar should go in, Robbie Alomar. I think Lee Smith and Mark McGwire. I'm still about Mark McGwire going in, so is Rob Parker. He has a vote. He has a ballot for the Hall of Fame. He's a voting member. And I think the other guy's Bert Blyleven. I think it's been long enough. Let's get Blyleven in. We should chant it. Let's get Blyleven in. Bert Blyleven deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There you go. Check it all out. The Martin Mayhew, the Lions stuff, the Bears keeping Lovie but dumping their 6 other assistants, or at least 6 other of them. Mike Shanahan in D.C., happy to be there, he says. Gruden to Cleveland, meeting today. David Brandon, or at least Holmgren and Mangini are. David Brandon, the new Michigan athletic director, straight from Domino's Farms over there in Ann Arbor. Randy Johnson retires, the big unit, and the Hall of Fame. Voting released today for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. That's it for you. Read it up, check it up on the yournews.com Parker and the Man page, people.